In this video, we'll be exploring the most important part of my favorite lake. I know it doesn't look like much from above the waterline, but once you go beneath the surface, you'll see that this part of the lake is filled with life. In fact, there's more biodiversity here in these shallow waters than anywhere else in the lake or in the surrounding forest, because this is where the lake meets the land, and it's in these transitional areas between two different habitats where you'll find the greatest variety of life. This is a fishing spider, and yes, they can catch small fish. These large spiders can also run on the surface of the water, so they're perfectly at home here amongst the ripples and the reeds. Now, let's go beneath the surface of the water and see what we can find. First, be sure to notice the super tiny fish in the background. These shallow, sunlit waters near the shore have lots of places for baby fish to hide, and there's an abundance of food for them to eat. So these areas near shore are super important because they act as a nursery for all of the fish in the lake. And what's powering all of this life is sunshine, which allows microscopic plant-like organisms with chlorophyll to thrive. These organisms are collectively known as phytoplankton, and they'll become food for larger organisms such as daphnia, seed shrimp, rotifers, and copepods, all of which are collectively known as zooplankton. In fact, most of the things that you see moving around in the water right here are zooplankton, and this is what the baby fish are feeding on in these shallow, sunlit waters near shore. But the fish are not the only ones that are using these shallow waters to feed. This is an Eastern Newt, and while these aquatic salamanders might look quite helpless, they have a secret weapon that keeps fish from trying to eat them. Their skin contains a powerful neurotoxin known as tetrodotoxin. This is the same neurotoxin that is found in the deadly blue-ringed octopus and the pufferfish. And while these newts aren't dangerous to hold, you wouldn't want to eat one because there is no known antidote for tetrodotoxin poisoning. Nonetheless, these newts can live for 10 years or more, and during this time they go through 3 very different stages. In the beginning, they hatch from an egg in the water, and this is the start of their larval aquatic stage, where they use external gills to breathe. This larval stage lasts for several months. Then they transform into a juvenile stage where they lose their gills, leave the water, turn bright orange, and live in the forest for 2 or 3 years. During this orange terrestrial phase, they're supposed to be 10 times more toxic than they are in their aquatic larval stage. Nonetheless, after 2 or 3 years in the forest, they return to the water and transform into sexually mature adults, who will then breed and produce the next generation of newts. And this is my favorite fish in the lake. It's a baby chain pickerel. It's only about 1.5 inches long at this point, but when fully grown, these fish can reach a length of about 2 feet, or just over 60 centimeters. These streamlined fish are built like rockets. They're long and they're thin, which makes it very easy for them to move through dense vegetation. This slender shape also allows them to accelerate very quickly with very little resistance. Pickerel are also known for having a thick layer of slime that helps to protect them from harmful microorganisms in the water. In fact, it's an important part of a fish's immune system. And many fish have a slime coating, but the layer of slime on a pickerel is unusually thick, so these fish are sometimes referred to as slime rockets, or even worse, snot rockets. Nonetheless, the extra thick slime coating dramatically reduces drag, which allows these fish to swim incredibly fast. Which is important because they specialize in eating other fish which they catch by hiding in dense vegetation and then ambushing their prey with their lightning-fast speed. They also have a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth, so once they do chase down their prey and get a hold of it, there's no escape. Many fishermen and fisherwomen do not like these fish at all, and some of the hatred out there is so extreme that they'll even throw these fish up on the shore to die rather than putting them back in the water. And here's what I think happens. These fish have big appetites and they can be very aggressive, so you cast your line in the water and you immediately hook into a pickerel, even though you're trying to catch a bass. Then, when you're finally able to get a hold of it, you now have a super slippery fish that's long and thin like a snake, and it's fighting for its life with a mouthful of razor-sharp teeth. So removing the hook from its mouth will not be easy, but please don't throw these beautiful fish on the shore to die, because they deserve to live just as much as you and I. It was you who threw a lure in the water and it did what it was designed to do, and now you blame these fish for a problem that was created by you? It doesn't seem fair. Learn to live with the pickerel because they're not going anywhere anytime soon. And if you live in the northeastern United States, then those largemouth bass that you're trying to catch don't even belong in that body of water. Speaking of which, these are baby largemouth bass, and unlike the pickerel who tend to travel solo, the young bass travel in schools, but they're still here for the same reason as everyone else. It's a good place to hide from predators, and there's lots of food to eat. These shallow sunlit waters are the engines that power nearly everything that happens in this beautiful lake, because they provide a place for the plants to grow, and they function as a nursery for all of the baby fish. All right then, that brings us to the end of another journey beneath the surface of my favorite lake. Thanks for joining me, and I really hope that you have a beautiful day.